Hey guys, so a friendly neighbor was kind enough to clear out his shed and donate some machines to Joe's garage. We have a push mower here, and we have two lawn edgers over there. Don't know too much about them, don't really have much history or backstory other than doesn't really need them anymore. This one, I looked at the date code on the motor, it's a 2016, so it's a couple years old. I think it's just been sitting in the shed for quite a bit of that time. You can see it's missing the air cleaner and the air cleaner cover. This primer bulb is a little crusty. Let's see if it has gas in there. Ooh, it does, and it smells lovely. So I'm guessing, just off the top of my head, the motor's probably good. Carb is probably a train wreck. We'll probably have to go through that and stick that in the ultrasonic cleaner. And that might just get it running again. But I guess just for giggles, let's see if it starts. I'm not expecting it to, but stranger things have happened. Let's give her a good old tug. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. Yeah, I'm not really hearing too much happening. Let's give it a little kick of some brake cleaner and see if it chugs on that. The carb cleaner was closer, so we're going with that. Give it a little spritz. Let's see if it coughs. If it coughs, it means the motor is good and the ignition is good, and we're just dealing with a carb issue. Unless I sprayed it in the wrong hole. There's probably a joke somewhere in there too. Try that again. Okay, might be more going on than that, because I'm not hearing anything. I think I was spraying the carb cleaner in a bolt hole. I'm such an idiot. Let's try again. Okay, so we know we have a good motor. And for the record, don't spray up there, spray down there. That's where it goes. All right, so we know the motor is good. So we're probably just gonna end up pulling the carb apart. I'll do a little tune-up on it, change the oil, make sure it runs okay. Clean it up a little bit, and we'll go from there. Now, if you trash pick a machine, and let's say you spray your carburetor cleaner, your starting fluid, or your brake cleaner, whatever you have on hand, doesn't really matter for the short duration that we're doing this. Let's say it doesn't cough like this one did and start running. First thing you want to do is check for a spark. You can pull the spark plug out of the motor, ground it to a valve cover or cylinder head or something, and see if you have spark. If you do, then you probably want to do a compression test, because if you got spark and you got a source or fuel of some kind, in that case, you know, carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner, starting fluid, or whatever, but you're not getting anything to happen out the business end, then there's probably something might be mechanically wrong with the motor. So again, compression gauge is your friend there. If you feel, oh, hi buddy, nice to see you, that'll be telling. If you have really low compression numbers, the motor's probably junk. But in this case, I think we're good. So let's start pulling it apart. We'll drain the gas out of the tank, get the carburetor off, and into the ultrasonic cleaner. Okay, here goes nothing. I got my 7mm nut driver, and I think that first hole I sprayed cleaner into is actually for the breather. So these are just kind of cheapy screws. It looks like two different sizes here. So two of them are 7mm. The other one's a little bit bigger, maybe an 8. Let's see what I got. Yep, I think it's an 8mm. So our two 7s go down the two lower holes, and the 8 goes in the top one, or I guess top right. And is that all that's holding us on here? Maybe, kind of. Oh, there's one more here. Another 8 on the other side. Looks like that's just going onto a sheet metal bracket. Now this should pop right off. It does. Okay. And we probably want something to put our fuel in, because that's disgusting. So let's get a little fuel receptacle. Got you guys repositioned. Hope you can see a little better now. Got this little plastic pan that I made out of cutting the bottom out of a bucket. Comes in surprisingly handy for things like this. This looks like one of those junky plastic carburetors. See what's holding this thing on. Doesn't seem like a whole lot. Oh, yep, just give it a tug. That's what she said. Let's get our needle nose pliers and try and get this fuel line off. We'll release all the stinky gas without hopefully without breaking the carburetor. Okay, back to work. Thought we had a visitor at the garage. These plastic carburetors. Whoops, didn't have you guys plugged in. I don't know how much of that you heard, but we had a visitor, so I just wanted to see who it was. It was my daughter. Hate these plastic carburetors. Oh, something's starting to leak out. I think we're making some progress. Come on. Just don't want to break the darn thing. After all, it is only plastic. Oh man, that gas smells bad. Too bad you guys can't smell that. Here it comes. Now, let's say you're doing this and you have a much bigger gas tank and you realize that your fuel receptacle can't hold enough fuel. Have a pair of locking needle nose pliers on hand. You just clamp the fuel line, which we might be doing here. Might as well get the gas out of the carb. Gross. All right, let's clamp that off. You could also use a hemostat if you happen to be a doctor. Not everybody is, though. Present company included. All right, let's get rid of this gas, get ready for the next batch. And we're still draining. Not very exciting, so I think we'll pause here, wait for it to finish. One thing I like to do, clean up the gas tank, and you should always do this in a very, very poorly ventilated garage so as to asphyxiate yourself. Just kidding. See all the crap that blew out of there? Got grass clippings, got all sorts of lovely things. Leaving that stuff in there will only cause a problem down the road. Easy way to clean gas tanks, especially smaller ones. Got the carb turned upside down. You can see all the lovely colored stuff that's flowing out of it. Time to take the bowl off. Looks like maybe another 7mm. Let's see. It'd be nice if they were all the same tools. I have to give Briggs & Stratton some points for consistency at least. And they are 7mm. Cool. Again, all plastic. I don't get points for that, but I guess plastic is cheaper. I wonder what kind of plastic it is. Does it say on here? Maybe some kind of nylon? I don't really know. If you know what type of plastic this is, let us know in the comments. Just pry on the bowl a little bit. Trying not to break it. See how successful I am. There's probably a trick to this. There it goes. She's coming. There we go. Got it. Oh, lovely. A little crusty. Let's take a peek inside, shall we? Not tragic, just old. Just some old gas. Let's take our float out. Maybe. This just snaps in. Maybe it's a snap-in. Yeah, it's a snap-in. There we go. Got our needle. Where's our jet? Does this thing come out? That looks like it's perhaps epoxied in there. I'm not going to mess with that. Oh, wow. The cylinder head side of the carb is pretty nasty. All right, I think it's time to stick this whole shooting match in the ultrasonic cleaner. That should take care of just about everything. Okay, I got the ultrasonic cleaner all set up with hot water. And honestly, you don't really need any fancy cleaners. I normally just use simple green and hot water. So I'm just going to splash in a little bit of simple green as our degreaser. That should be plenty. Maybe a cup or so. Don't have to go too crazy. You want to make sure you have it on a heated solution, obviously. I did take the carburetor, the kitchen sink, and just kind of give it a light hosing off with hot water just to get like grass and all that stuff out. So let's just dunk it in the water. Of course, I probably didn't put enough water in, but such is life. I'm going to put all the parts in. And just let her cook. Actually, let me hose this piece off in the sink too. Okay, all the parts have been given a light soak in the sink, or light rinse in the sink, I should say. If you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner, I highly recommend getting one. If you have anything that's small or intricate to clean, this thing makes life a lot easier. Just putting everything in there. I'm gonna let it go for 40 minutes. Let's hit start. Hopefully, let's give you guys a picture of the water beforehand. So it's pretty clear. Wait till you see what it's like when it's done. Ready, set, go. This is maybe a minute in. You can see the water is starting to get kind of murky. I'll put a link to one of these things in the description if you guys are interested in picking one up. Again, highly recommend it. If not this particular model, a bigger one, smaller one, whatever you need. It's a great tool to have around the house. I think it's one of the best $100 I've ever spent in my life. And I've spent $100 a lot of times. What I sometimes do, if you see parts sticking above the surface of the liquid, I'll come and I'll turn things periodically or just add more liquid. Yeah, it's pretty amazing how good of a job these things do. Can add a little bit more simple green. Some of these parts look a little dirtier than I had originally anticipated. That's going to make the water a little bit darker. But still pretty clear. All right. What's the expression? A watch pot never boils? Let's come back. With about 9 minutes left, let's take a peek and see how things look. The water is decidedly darker, I think you'd all agree. A little nasty. That's good though. Should I run it twice or just once? For about a minute left. Start taking some parts out. Rinse this one off with some sink water. You can see how much cleaner it is. Hit it with some compressed air. Sorry if that was kind of loud. Not sure what this new mic picks up and what it doesn't. Yeah, this carb looks kind of good as new. And the ultrasonic cleaner is done, thank God. That was noisy. So yeah, in case you guys missed everything I just said, the carb looks pretty much good as new. I blew it off with some compressed air. Already blew off the air cleaner housing. The primer didn't, I mean, some of the color was restored, but it's still I don't know, kind of questioning or on the fence about replacing it. Regarding what this stuff is all made of, it looks like it's made, I see PA 66-GF30. I believe that's nylon with 33% glass fiber for reinforcing. Not 100% sure on that, so if anybody knows for sure, feel free to chime in. I mean, this primer still seems intact. Maybe I'll just leave it. I mean, why replace parts that aren't broken, right? So yeah, this thing's spick and span, good as new. Looks like the carburetor is PPA. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. It might be the same material, just an abbreviation. Not really sure. Maybe I'll Google it later. So yeah, got it all blown out. The bowl is all spick and span too. This thing should work great. Now, you do want to make sure the jet for this carburetor is right there. Probably can't see that too well because of the lighting, but there's a really small little brass insert inside this piece of plastic. Just blow that out with some compressed air to make sure that passage is clear. If that passage is not clear, you're not going to get any fuel to the carb. Pretty simple carburetor, not much to it. I think we're done. Time to reassemble. And that's what the final water looks like. Very, very deep green, brown. Kind of looks like algae water. Much nastier than when we started, I would say. What do you think? All right, let's put this thing back together, right? So I got all the parts dried off. Let's put the needle and seat back in position. Let's see. This probably needs to go on like so. Just kind of dangle in there. Did we get it or did we miss it? Oh, we missed it. Oh, and it fell off. Okay, it's gonna be a little fun. Let's try that again. Ah! Go ahead, laugh at me. I can take it. Some of you guys do like to abuse me, though. If that's your thing, have a blast. I can take it. There we go. I think we got it. Now let's just snap it in. There we go. I think we got it. Right? I think that does it. Let's put our bowl back on. I don't think it was indexed in any particular way. Hopefully not. Because I didn't notice what way it was. I think I'm going to put a little bit of two-stroke oil on that O-ring because it's pretty tight. That's what she said. I'm going to use some of this Echo Power Blend oil that I have laying around, and don't know if you guys heard that. I didn't have the mic on. Sorry. I kind of suck at this, you guys. I don't know why you guys listen to me. You know, I'm good at fixing stuff, but not so good at video and audio and editing. And the guys that you guys that stick through the whole videos, I mean, you're saints. Because I'm horrible at this. But, you know, I figure you can't take knowledge with you when you die, right? Hopefully someone can benefit from all this. All right, so I got the O-ring coated with two-stroke oil. Should slide in a lot easier now. Unless I'm doing this wrong. Maybe it goes on this way. There we go. I did it. Gotta put our screws back in, and it's the wrong size. I think I left, where did I leave the other nut driver? Is it on the mower deck? Let me go find it. It was under the ultrasonic cleaner. Isn't that a great spot for it? Not sure how it found its way over there. Now I did find this little black O-ring on the mower deck when I got everything apart. I'm not sure if it fell off the carburetor when I was disassembling it from the motor or what, but I guess we'll find out, right? All right, so we're good there. Maybe this, does it go in here? Yeah, that's probably where it goes. Right there. I think, maybe? Because then, wait a second. Everybody hold on. No one moves, no one gets hurt. How does this thing seal? I think maybe we need to get the mower back up here and look at this a little bit closer. Got the mower back up on the bench. I'm pretty sure that that O-ring is going to go on the intake pipe here into the cylinder. I don't know, buddy. He just kind of comes and goes as he pleases. Can open doors. It's a real piece of work. And this should just slide on there. Kind of like so. Oh, I guess I gotta put the linkage on first, but I won't forget that. There we go. That should slide on. Should slide on. Why is it not sliding on? There we go. I think it's on. Let's get that fuel line on while we're kind of have everything off. There we go. That's good. I think that's where we need to be. Now we need to put our air cleaner housing assembly on. You gotta put on that breather tube that I was spraying brake cleaner into before. We'll change the oil in it too, so it's not a big deal. And I think that's it. Then we just gotta fasten everything together, right? So we had, I think we had the 8 millimeters on the outside, right? That actually hold the housing on. Let me move that fuel clamp into position before we make it so we can't. Yeah, did that in the wrong order. Jumped the gun on myself. Needed a little bit more room to do that. There we go. Now, take 2. Got the breather pipe on. You got to give it Briggs & Stratton some credit here. It's a very simple, very low-cost design. I mean, there's not a whole lot of fasteners. There's not a whole lot that to kind of go wrong here. I mean, there's obviously some stuff that can go wrong, but you neglect any type of equipment, it's going to come back and bite you eventually. But there's the right screws for that. You know what? Maybe I should have not snug these down, just put them in loose until I get those other plastic threaded screws in. Maybe. Maybe an alignment issue of some kind? Let's see, what did I do wrong? Rather than force it, let's take a look at it. Yeah, everything looks lined up. Let's try this one down here. Does this one fit? Yeah, that one goes in. Weird. Okay, now this one goes in. Weird. Hey, we're fine now. Now, if I was doing this, if I wanted to totally refurbish this, I could put a whole carburetor kit in here, but it probably doesn't need it. The carb wasn't in that bad shape. The seals didn't look too bad, so it probably just needed a good cleaning. If I'd venture a guess or put gas in it right now, it'll fire up. So let's see if that happens. Okay, we got our fuel in there. I did make sure it had oil in there, so there's always that we can check off the list. If anybody needs a gas can, that's actually a really nice gas can. It's one of those, I think, never spills. Yeah, no spill. You can get these on Amazon. They're like maybe 25, 30 bucks. They're expensive, but of all the compliant spout designs, that's probably the least annoying one that's out there, in my opinion. All right, let's give this thing a tug and see what happens. That's what she said. Probably poke this thing a couple times, right? Get some gas to flow. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to start. What do you guys think? Well, that was pretty easy. I think I'll open the door, I'll let it run for a while, get it all warmed up, and we'll dump the oil out. All right, got it all nice and warm. Let's dump the oil. On this model, they put the oil drain and fill over here. Kind of an annoying location, but it is what it is. It's like now we gotta flip it on its side because there's no oil drain plug at the bottom. It's probably its first ever oil change. Might be its last. Alright, let's put that down before I spill it all over the place. Hopefully you guys can see this. Tilt the mower back, get some more oil into the sump. Let's see, can we get lucky enough to just do this? Yeah, we are, look at that. Again, sorry, you probably can't see, but... Nothing to say, it's just black oil. I'll give you guys a peek at it. Yeah, like I said, probably its first ever oil change. Since this is machine's last oil change, most likely we'll use a high quality synthetic, just a 1030. Give it a good cleaning. I'm sure you astute guys probably noticed there's no air cleaner on there, so the engine could be in questionable internal condition, but you know what? It runs, seems to run okay. I think it'll be fine. It's a lawnmower, not a spaceship. Let's dunk some of this good stuff in there. Seemed like it had maybe about half a quart in there or so. I'll check it in a minute. Hopefully we use up that whole whatever's left in that jug so I can throw it away. Let's take a peek. Got the oil level all dialed in. Now I think it's time to assess non-engine related things like the blade. The blade looked pretty crusty when I flipped it over before, so I think we need to sharpen that, take it off and sharpen it. I'm also going to order an air cleaner housing and an air cleaner because obviously we don't want this thing to be running, cutting grass with no air cleaner. Won't be long for this world without an air cleaner. I think I might just take it outside and hose it off once it cools down because it's pretty crusty. And I guess we'll pick this up. Yeah, maybe I'll order the parts and we'll pick everything up when the parts get here. I don't know, haven't decided yet. Okay, I ordered the parts and thanks to our friends at Amazon, they'll be here tomorrow. I'll put links in the description, but this particular engine, which is a Briggs 9P602, it takes an air cleaner cover part number 595660, and the air cleaner, again, that was for the cover. Come on, where did it go? I just had it on my phone. And the air cleaner is, come on, part number 799579. Again, I'll put links to both of those in the description. they're super easy to install and replace. I'm not going to cover that in the video. So I think the last thing we're going to cover in the video is just taking the blade off and cleaning that up, because it's, like I said, pretty crusty. And that's what the underside of a mower deck looks like after it's been sitting for a long time. I'm going to pull a spark plug wire just because we're going to be wrenching on the blade. We don't want this thing to fire up. I'm not going to put a new spark plug in here because it runs just fine. I'm not a big fan of replacing parts unless they need to be replaced. Yeah, so why mess around with that? This is a 5/8 socket on an impact driver. Yeah. Let's get a closer look at this blade. Yes, it's very rusty, but it still appears safe to use. And I can tell that for a number of reasons. When the blades get unsafe, you start to see the end here kind of fray out, get really thin. And I don't see that happening here. So though this blade is very rusty and crusty, we should be able to sharpen this up nicely on our disc grinder down there. Probably can't see it too well. And put a nice edge on this. Let's get started. I realize not everybody has one of these machines in their garage. You can use a 4.5-inch angle grinder. You could use a die grinder. You could use a Dremel or a file. It'll just take you a lot longer. But you'll see how quickly this part goes. Let me actually get you on the other side, because I'm going to be standing on that side. There we go. Flip the switch. And I am wearing safety goggles. Get the idea, just keep working at it. Okay, so I think we're all done. There's still some chunks in the blade, taken out of the blade, like here, there's big divots, but they're not going to matter so much. As long as the first inch or so of both sides is sharp, it'll cut just fine, because that's where most of the cutting action takes place. I'll probably work at this a little bit more, but a blade like this with that type of an edge should cut just fine. Now you want to make sure if you take a lot of meat off that you balance it. They do make these little balancing kits you can get at the hardware store. I'm not a big fan of them. As long as you're pretty careful about how much material you take off on both sides, you probably won't have any blade balance issues. Can't guarantee it, but you'll know it if you have one, because it'll vibrate like heck. And you'll have to take it apart and, you know, just take some more off one side. You can, what I sometimes do when I have a blade with a round hole, unlike this one here, is I'll stick, you know, maybe a thin nail in the vise, and I'll just kind of balance the blade on that nail, and you see which side's heavier. Because the heavier side will go down and just take off some material from that side. I don't know. Do I want to order a new blade? I mean, I'm gonna end up giving this machine to my aunt, so yeah, maybe I'll just order a new blade. This way she never has to worry about it again. Let's see if I can get one. All right, I finished the mental debate with myself and decided to order a new blade. It'll be here in a couple days. I'm actually going with a different design. This one is actually a Sten's blade. It's part number 302470. Seems to be pretty well liked online. It looks a bit meatier from the pictures too. It has that Sten's, actually no, it's that Oregon Gator kind of profile. I don't know if you can see it on my phone there. But yeah, so we'll pick it up when that blade arrives. So I thought I would do some little off-camera cleanup stuff, and I took that blade adapter and I took it to the wire wheel just to, you know, kind of clean it up a little bit. Come on, focus. Anyway, you can see it snapped in half. So I guess I'm ordering one of these too. Yeah, so let that be a lesson learned. Make sure you check that adapter, I'm sorry, this spacer, or whatever you call it, really carefully. So that one is available. It is called a blade bell support. and it's part number 7360524B as in beta. Again, I'll put a link in the description. Yeah, safety issue. I don't know how secure the blade would have been if that thing had split while it was running. I guess if we look at the blade and kind of correlate that with this part here, someone was probably hitting some rocks and some things they probably shouldn't have. But we'll fix it up. All of our parts are right. It's been about a week. I have the new blade adapter. Got this on Amazon. I think maybe it was $10 or so. It's part number 7360524B as in boy. I'll give you links to all these things in the description, as usual. I got an aftermarket Stens blade. It's actually considerably beefier than the one that came with it. I mean, if you look at this thing, I mean, just the thickness alone, it's probably, you know, maybe 10–20% thicker. I don't have a scale, but it feels a little bit heavier too. The blade is quite a bit wider, and obviously has these notches in the end too. So hopefully this will be a better blade for this machine. A lot of the OEM blades kind of suck in my opinion. Also have the new air filter and the new air filter cover. So let's start putting this stuff on. My assistant is getting a little nosy today. So I'm going to take everything apart here. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of fluid film just in case this ever needs to come apart again. Make it a little bit easier. This stuff is great, by the way, if you ever use it. Let's see. Hopefully I ordered the right blade. We'll find out in a second, right? Man, even two-handed, this is difficult. Or maybe I'm just an idiot, who knows? I guess we have to acknowledge both possibilities, right? Now, a lot of people don't know you shouldn't run a push mower engine, at least not one like this, without a blade on it, because a lot of them have aluminum flywheels, and they are not designed, well, the aluminum flywheel isn't heavy enough to ballast the engine. It doesn't provide, excuse me, you're in the view. Maybe they'd rather see you, who knows? All right, come here. The aluminum flywheel isn't heavy enough, kind of like a flywheel in a manual transmission car. It provides a damping effect and you know, kind of helps provide the engine some momentum while it's rotating through the strokes of all the cylinders. So a lot of the higher end ones have a cast iron flywheel, and you can do that. This one does not. This one's aluminum. So you can't really do that on this machine or any of the, you know, the cheaper, less expensive ones. You get like a nice commercial grade mower, you can get away with that. In fact, you have to be able to do that because they have one of those blade clutches. In fact, any mower that has a clutch where you can disconnect, yeah. Did he just taste that? That's fluid film, it's non-toxic. Excuse me, all right, no more of that for you, thank you. What was I saying? Right, so if your mower has one of those clutches where you can keep the engine running and disengage the blades, you probably have a cast iron flywheel. Therefore, that's not a concern for you. All right, all we have left is the air cleaner housing, and just cleaning this thing up a little bit. It's kind of dirty. Just opening all the packages here. Let's kind of reorient you guys a little bit. This is just an old cheapo air cleaner here, just a foam one. I'm gonna put a glove on and put some engine oil on this. Changed my mind, I'm gonna use transmission fluid, just because I have a lot of this old Dexron 3 Mercon stuff laying around from cars past. So really all you do is just dunk a little bit on there. Just pouring it on there, let it soak in. Of course, I should probably be doing this with my gloved hand, right? That'd be the smart thing to do. So, you know, about like that. And just squeeze it off in a garbage can to kind of mix it around. Doing this with my gloved finger, or gloved hand. So it's starting to mix around, maybe a little bit more. And what this does is this kind of makes the filter media stickier. Any dirt that passes through here is going to be more inclined to get trapped in the filter rather than go through the foam. It's kind of the same concept you see in trucks with wet oil filters, but obviously a much cheaper and much less effective scale. I'm just squeezing it off in the garbage can again. Yeah, it's just going to be enough. We're good now. You don't want a lot of excess oil because that'll get sucked into the engine and will get burned. So it just should have kind of like a fine layer of oil on there. About like that. So you notice the color of the filter is pretty uniform. Now you can install it. Now some of these filters, they don't want you to oil. I don't know why. I don't know off the top of my head if this is one of them. Guess we'll find out, or maybe one of you guys will tell me, right? Man, you are just craving attention today. Wants to be in the center of the action. All right, let's plop this thing in there. It goes in about like so. And then our cover. There we go. I think this job is done. Next step is to take it outside and give it a try and see if it works. Gave the grass a quick trim yesterday, but I missed a few spots. So let's get this thing going and see how it cuts. We'll do okay. Yeah, not bad. Hopefully you guys liked this video. You saw how to rehab essentially a trash mower and bring it back to life. So if you found this video helpful, please subscribe and stay safe, guys. Thanks.